influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. On this 16th day of May, we got the NBA draft lottery coming up this hour as we speak. Who's going to get the opportunity to draft Victor Wembanyama? I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a moment. Also, 30 minutes past the hour, returning guest, great guest, Jeffrey Deskovic will come in. We'll talk about the Final Four, do a quick recap there, and get his predictions for the NBA Finals here. And also going to talk a little, Joe Burrow, talking about contract extensions with him. Cleveland Browns, I wanted to comment on Zadarius Smith and what I think that this team may do. Got a lot of work to do just before we hit that 30-minute mark and we have our guests. So let me go ahead and get this 49-second break out of the way. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. I'll be back here in exactly 49 seconds. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. And I'm back here live on all links here. Now, the NBA draft lottery is starting right now. And Victor Wembanyama, he is the French phenom Pickles. He is either anywhere from 7'2" to 7'5", and he is one of the biggest. He is arguably the biggest prospect since LeBron James. This is what ESPN says. All odds are only 7'5". Some sites have him listed as 7'2". He's post 7 foot. We'll put it that way, okay? It says the 19-year-old that LeBron James dubbed a generational talent captivated basketball fans during a 2-game exhibition showcase in October against Scott Henderson's G League. So, that type of hype on a player. And, something, Colin Cowherd said something pretty interesting today about that. He said, this guy should be wildly talked about. Every show should be talking about him. But the fact that college basketball is being demonized by the NBA, and you got to blame Adam Silver and some of the ownership for this, for demonizing. Because think if this guy went to Kentucky, Duke, or Kansas for 2 or 3 years. Now, he is 7'4". I mean, he has got good handles. He kind of reminds me of a Kevin Durant, except he's a taller. I mean, he is really talented player. I've watched as much as I could. I've heard about him, and I'm not a huge NBA person. I heard about him for over a year ago when Jim Jeffco was talking about him. That's what type of talent. But he would have 10 times the buzz if he would played at American college. Now, he is from France here. And, you've got Houston at 14, Detroit, San Antonio. All 3 of those teams have a 14% chance. Greg Popovich says, I don't know if we'll be that lucky again to hit another French phenom. But I would, even though I have my personal issues with him, he is known to be a bully. I would like to see Wembanyama go to a good organization. Ideally, I'd love to see him go to a I would love to see this guy go to like an Oklahoma City, per se. But that is such a long shot. Here we go. This is according to OddsShark Pickles. 14 Detroit, Houston, San Antonio. Then it goes down to 12.5% Charlotte. I love Michael Jordan, great player. Not a big fan of his ownership or that organization. Would not like to see him go to Charlotte, nor Portland, nor Orlando. Then it goes down Indiana, Washington. Those are 6-8, 6-7. Then you got Utah, Danny Ainge with all that draft capital. Ainge has built a championship contender now in Boston. He's now in Utah. Then you want to throw in OKC, 1.7% chance. They have a chance. Dallas has got a 3% chance of getting him. Yes, put him with Luka Doncic. That would be the miracle that Mark Cuban would be looking for. It would practically be a miracle down there with Toronto and, of course, the New Orleans Pelicans at 0.5% chance. Again, what you say, why do you say Houston? You didn't say Houston before. Well, I like the owner of the Houston Rockets. I listened to his audio book. He's really down to earth. He's a competitor. Plus, contrary to what happened in Boston, Ime Udoka seems like a good coach. The coach that was essentially fired from the Celtics for having an improper relationship. The guy's a good coach. I'd kind of like to see San Antonio, Ime Udoka, and Houston, OKC, Sam Presti with all those draft picks. Plus you got SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, very good player coming into his own. That would be huge for the league if he can go to an Oklahoma City or a Utah with all those other draft capital around under a Danny Ainge run organization. That would be fantastic for me to see. Just don't want to see him go to Detroit, who just changed coaches and general managers. That's something. Toronto just changed coaches. Maybe they go after Ty Lue. I'm not sure. They do have Siakam is a good player to play. Fred VanVleet, although he has been talked about in trade talks as well with OG. Oh God, I forgot the guy's name. Obi-Wan Kenobi's what I call him. So there's some pretty good players there. Toronto would be a good landing spot there. Doc Rivers has getting fired. I'll talk a little bit about that. I said this yesterday about Rivers, Pickles, that, he's a very overrated coach. I mean, you're 17-34 in closeout games. And I looked it up just to double check today. Doc Rivers had 3 Hall of Famers in Boston. He's a guy that's lived off that 2008 team and championship. I know they got very close a few years later. Same group of guys there with that Laker core. He's good to set the tone, to build the culture. He's good for rebuilds. But, even former player Rashawn, what's his name? Hold on, let me say. Rasheed Wallace rips Doc Rivers. He says, this is what Rasheed Wallace says. He said, you got to get somebody in there that makes players respect. He doesn't make adjustments. That's just being from in the locker room with him for the one season. He depends more on the players to make those adjustments than he does himself. So that was Rasheed Wallace on Doc Rivers. So it is what it is. He's good for start like a team like a Houston, bunch of kids. Get them going at about 3 or 4 years, and then his work should be done. He's good for about 3 or 4 year contract, and then you want to move on to a more skilled head coach there, in my opinion. But, this is going to be a big lottery. Like I said, I'm still waiting to see the way this thing comes down, and I'm monitoring it as the program goes on here on SportsScope. Now, I haven't seen anything from Sharms yet. I'm following his Twitter feed. I'm pretty sure he's going to tweet out and of course, again, I like Denver to win tonight and cover for the record there to cover that 5.5 points to beat the LA Lakers. So we'll see. And you know, again, like Colin said, there's a few. Michael Jordan, I was flipping through TikTok, and somebody had a random interview from Michael Jordan. He said, in our day, we had to earn contracts. You know, now players are played on potential. Their potential out of college. They're played on potential. So, you know, the contracts, the way the contracts are set up for rookies and whatnot, and quite frankly, I think they just need to take away the guaranteed contracts in the NBA. You do that. 2 years out of college, I would say 3, but 2 is fair. Some players already after 2, a little bit more. And I think you would have with NIL, that's not saying too much. If a player's that good, they will get NIL deals, even on a bad team, if they're being talked about that much. And this will be a lot more interesting. Victor Wembanyama would be a lot more hype than it is right now, if you ask me. Yeah, Pickle says the Lakers have won the first road game in the past 2 series. Yes, they have. Let's see how they play game 1 tonight. There's a good chance if they do win that they will win the series. If they do win tonight against this Denver team, you just got to kind of here's a stat on the Lakers here. Interesting stat I read today off of MGM Bet. If I can find it here. You know, I might not get to every story. It's 7:12 already. I may put off Joe Burrow and the Cleveland story till tomorrow. Okay, last time a 7th seed was in the NBA Finals, a number 7 seed has never won its conference championship round. This according to MGMBet.com. A number 7 seed has never won its conference championship round and advanced to the NBA Finals. That means that the 2023 Lakers have the opportunity to write a new chapter in NBA Finals history. Now, an 8 seed did go in a lockout season. An 8 seed did go to lockout season. That was in '99. The New York Knicks, and they lost the finals to the San Antonio Spurs. So a lot's going against a team led by a 38-year-old player. He's number 2. I think Anthony Davis is number 1, and an often injured Anthony Davis team, not to mention the teams that the road they had to go on just to get to this, just to get to their seed, plus the 13 games in the playoffs to get here. You feel like it's going to eventually catch up with the Lakers going on a road for the 3rd time to start a series in rarefied air, and probably the best Denver team that I've ever seen. I mean, most balanced, depth. Aaron Gordon's going to be on LeBron. Joker's going to be on Anthony Davis. Lakers could win, but there's a reason why the odds makers have Denver as a 5.5-point favorite. Okay. All right. I've teased this Cleveland Browns story for a while. So I'm going to go with this one. And then if I run out of time, we'll talk about Joe Burrow tomorrow. Basically, Burrow's letting everybody know that, hey, look, you know, I want this extension, but I want my players to stay with me. So we'll probably get to that tomorrow. We may have time. Browns, the other day, now I mentioned this, I think Friday this went down. So the Browns trade for pass rusher Zadarius Smith. Now, this 31-year-old player, Pickles, a lot younger than I originally thought. I mean, they gave up, it was finalized this morning, they'll send a 2024 5th-round pick to the Minnesota Vikings and a 2025 5th-round pick to Minnesota for the edge rusher, Zadarius Smith. Now, he's 31 years old. He'll be technically 31 in September. He's coming off of a 10-sack season. So, very good player here in Cleveland, you know. And you're lining him up next to Myles Garrett. And, again, Jeff Schwartz defense can be frustrating at times because they rarely bring more pressure than 4. but the run defense was under Joe, I think his name was Joe Wilson or whatever. Joe Woods, I think, was former coordinator. It was about 25th to 30th. Very bad run defense. Under Schwartz, this run defense will probably go to, and they've had some few other players too on the defensive line. I think it will get from 10 to 5th. I think it will improve that much in Cleveland. All right. And you look at that, and not to mention that you're giving Deshaun Watson a full off season with this team. Their offensive line, both of their tackles there, Jedarick Willis, and of course the right tackle there, guy that used to play for Tennessee, Pickles. I don't know if I took that screenshotted their depth chart or not, but they're going to have one of the better offensive lines in all of football, in my opinion. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball and control the line of scrimmage, not to mention the fact that Amari Cooper, I looked at Amari Cooper stats the other day, and, he had 1,160 yards. That was the second best season he's had as a pro. And that was with fill-in quarterbacks, not to mention that Watson didn't even come in with this team since week 11 last year because of his suspension and off-field issues there. You throw in a Nick Chubb, Njoku in there. This run defense, much improved here. I was looking at FanDuel's got their over and unders at 9.5 wins, 10.5 for Cincinnati. Okay. You throw that 10.5 for Cincinnati, and this team, they're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to stop the run. They're going to have 3-year veterans at both cornerbacks, 2- and 3-year veterans, Greg Newsome, and of course, Denzel Ward at the cornerback position. They're going to be tough to beat. My guess is, now I'll change this, and I may talk about it. Freddie, the pizza man, hadn't got back to me. I may dig a little deeper into power rankings and stuff post-draft of teams on Thursday. Now, tomorrow I'll have Keith Engel did say he'll be on the program. I got a baseball question for Keith, and I'm going to ask him about that Tom Brady thing there, Tom Brady ceremony. But anyways, this Cleveland team, I've been high on Cleveland for a long time, and they've let me down. Remember a few years ago, they make the playoffs under Baker Mayfield. He comes up short. The next year, he hurts his shoulder. Management, ownership, coaching staff all get frustrated with Baker Mayfield. So they move off of him. They bring in very controversial Deshaun Watson, but it's guaranteed contract and everything. But now this year, if this team don't win 10 games and get at least a wild card, Kevin Stefanski will be on the chopping block. But as of right now, I would say they'll probably finish second behind Cincinnati, and that's saying a lot with Baltimore coming in, new offensive coordinator, Zay Flowers at receiver, Odell Beckham, totally reamped contract there, full new contract there with Lamar Jackson. I think right now Baltimore will finish in 4th. Pittsburgh's going to finish in 3rd. Cleveland, this could come down to the last few games. This is going to be the most competitive, Pickles, I've ever seen the AFC North. The most competitive. I mean, we're talking one-score games, one-possession games, one bad call, one non-pass interference, one pass interference in this particular division. So their pass rush is going to be good. They're good front, middle, and back defensively. Again, they'll be much better against the run. You'll probably be able to dice them some in the past because Jim Schwartz that's traditional for his defenses there in Cleveland. So, this was a huge pickup, kicking up this guy in his prime. And Pickles, yeah, you're right. You're right. It was a strange trade there for the Minnesota Vikings when they've already 31st in total defense. They're trying to go cheap there. Now I know that they did go for defense other than their first-round pick. But their first-round pick, of course, they took Jordan Addison out of University of the University of Pittsburgh, but then he later transferred to USC. Took him when they're 31st in total defense and yards and everything. So, yeah, again, great pickup for the Browns here. Great pickup. I'll get it into a little bit more of their to their schedule breakdown, plus how they're going to play. I'll try to get a little bit into that again later on this week. I'll see Jeffrey Deskovic backstage, and man, there's a lot of stuff going on. Let me make sure I get his questions popped up here, and we will get this show on the road. Hey, Jeffrey, how you doing, man? Oh, I can't hear you, buddy.
Hey, Robert, how are you? Hey.
Okay, good. It came up that time.
Nice to be back on the Sports Scope, man.
Hey, buddy, I appreciate it. Yeah, we've got the lottery tonight. Did you hear about that? Somebody's going to get Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he could be like a generational type player, you know, a really exciting future. I mean, somebody could have the chance to put a really super solid building block in place. And of course, it's going to be fun looking back in history in this draft at players other than him. I mean, we know over the years, you know, people have made what seemed to be good moves there, but are real head scratchers. I mean, how many people passed on Kobe Bryant, for example? I remember the then New Jersey Nets, they passed Kobe going with Kerry Kittles, you know, but while he had one or two all-star seasons, I mean, you can't even mention Kerry and Kobe Bryant in the same breath. I mean, boy, I bet they wish they had that one back, huh?
Yeah. Do you remember the Shaquille? This one has a lot of hype. I know LeBron had a lot of hype. Do you remember 1992, the Shaquille O'Neal hype and the lottery pick there? I think it was around halftime of the Knicks and the Bulls, and the Orlando Magic fans were ecstatic to get the 7-footer from LSU.
Yeah, well, I mean, look how incredibly he was, and you know, he took that franchise to the finals. I mean, I still think they were more talented individually than the Houston Rockets were. Of course, the Rockets definitely clearly had the better teamwork and chemistry, but in terms of sheer talent, I mean, Penny Hardaway, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott, Horace Grant, and the Shaq
they had a lot of speed, didn't they, Jeffrey?
They had a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism, and you know, when they lost the finals, I mean, everybody assumed they were going to be back at least in 4 out of the next 5 finals, certainly 3 out of the next 5. But you know, things happen, and they've never actually got back, which is, you know, why it's really important to maximize your opportunity. I mean, Reggie Miller had one opportunity, you know, and didn't get it done. The mailman had 3. But still couldn't deliver the play on the he couldn't deliver the NBA championship, especially not in Utah. I mean, I still don't understand how that Laker team with him on it didn't win, except to say, I guess that the flaw in adding him and Gary Payton was that they were all older. That's one thing. They were all.
I was pulling hard against them. I hated that. Between me and you, I was really pulling for that Detroit team.
yeah, exactly. But you know, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I remember that the year of the draft of Shaquille
O'Neal.
The year of the draft of Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, there was open. You know, there was some debate even as to who actually to take, you know, who was the better player, you know, before it was known that the Magic had the pick, Shaquille O'Neal or Alonzo Mourning. I mean, there were even some GMs that off the record were saying that they will even consider taking Christian Laettner ahead of Shaq, because, you know, Laettner actually had the better college career, but it was clear that you can't compare the two. Again, not even the same breath, even more disparity than Kerry Kittles and Kobe. What was it between Christian Laettner and Shaquille O'Neal? I mean, Alonzo Mourning wasn't even on his level, really, if you think about, you know, everything. So I'm always excited about the draft. I'm glad that they don't just, that there is an element of mystery. There's the lottery balls, and it's not automatic that you get that the worst record gets that, because then you get silly things happening, like I believe happened one year in the NHL. Where teams start tanking games on purpose.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, just so that they could get the best player. I mean, I don't think that, because it wouldn't make sense to do that in the NBA, because even if you have the worst record, you might have a better statistical chance, but it's by no means automatic. And most of the time, the team with the worst record doesn't end up with the top pick. And I think that's a good thing.
Pickle says Spurs he's reporting Spurs get the pick. Before you came on, I didn't send you that because it just dawned on me earlier today that the lottery was today. I wanted Wembanyama to go to Greg Popovich. Can be a little cranky, but he is a good coach,
He's a great coach.
He's a good coach with Houston.
Greg doesn't get enough talent. He's one of the best coaches out there. I believe he's won 3 championships. He certainly had, he developed Tim Duncan. He may even get Tim Duncan to come and work out. Kind of like if you remember when Randy Moss entered the league and Chris Carter, they worked out off season and prepping them and everything.
Yes. And Moss had some red flags. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan here in Nashville. Tennessee passed on him and took Kevin Dyson. Oh, God.
That was the other one.
That's Eric Kittles there. Jeffrey.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I thought he was a legitimate the year that I guess in the end I do agree with giving Randall Cunningham the MVP that year with Moss's but if Randy was one, if Randall Cunningham was one, then Randy Moss had to certainly be 1A, kind of like a Jordan and Pippen thing on the football.
I think they were like 15-1 that year.
They were 15-1. I still don't think that the Falcons were the better overall team.
Right, me neither.
I think that kind of showed in the Super Bowl where they were clearly outmatched against the Denver Broncos, and I think that Vikings Broncos would have been a much better game.
Yes, it would. Hey, now if I got these questions wrote down, just bear with me. We'll get to everything. Let's get right into it. Now, Boston and Philadelphia, you just heard today, I'm sure, Doc Rivers is fired. Do you agree with Philadelphia firing Doc Rivers? Now, he's 17-33 in closeout games, man.
Yeah, I do agree. If you remember that was one of the few things that I got right this postseason. It was a year of upsets in the NBA playoffs, but one thing I did get right, the Celtics over the Sixers, and more importantly, for this question, that Doc Rivers finally being fired with this latest second round exit. So I feel like they've plateaued with him. They really should have won the series. They're up. I thought Boston was the better team, but then when got them
absolutely.
3-2, but when they got them 3-2, come on, man, you don't get blown out on your own home court in Game 6 where you get a chance to pull the upset off. And then on the road you just get blown out again. Something's got to give. I don't think he was going to get them to the promised land. I think they had to make a move there. But so I do agree with getting rid of Doc Rivers. I do not agree with getting rid of I believe Monty Williams is out.
Yes. Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Now, what do you think about Embiid? Do you think Embiid has hit his plateau, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I don't. Yes, I don't. If by that we mean, do we think he's playing as good as he can? Yeah, I don't think Embiid is going to get any better. I do think he can keep playing on the same level, another 4 or 5 years. So they've got a window, but not to spare, not to spare. So, but I think that they need to give Embiid one more good player. I feel like they're half a player to one player away.
So would you consider trading Embiid because he's hurt every year in the playoffs?
Well, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I say no. I mean, centers are very hard to come by, particularly ones that can
Okay.
be dominant and play in the post. I mean, there's Embiid, you have Joker and Anthony Davis, although he's really a 4 playing as a 5. Not many.
Right.
I don't think you could get. I don't believe you could get proper. What were you going to get back for him? You're going to take 2 or 3 lesser players and then try to tell yourself that the cumulative of what you're getting back is that never works out for the team that's giving up the best player, because the other team gets the better player and then they get another player through free agent and then they take off and the other team kind of stays over. So I wouldn't trade him because I don't think you could get sufficient value for him.
Okay. I was just curious about that. Now, on the other side, Tatum, 51 points, has more points in a game 7 than Steph Curry. My thing is, Tatum's such a good player. Would you consider, think about this hypothetical. What if Tatum had Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson? He's 6'8". Could you make an argument that he's possibly better than a Steph Curry? Could he have Steph Curry's resume if he had Steph Curry's role players coaching around him? He's really an underrated. What are your thoughts on him scoring 51 the other night?
Well, I thought that was incredible. He was playing out of his mind, but I love him as a player. He's clutch. He doesn't rattle on the road. And yes, I do believe he would have the same resume as Steph Curry. Now, listen, I think Steph Curry's a better player than him as far as career, not right now. Despite Curry's eruption against Sacramento in game 7, and comparing that and making that analogous to Jason Tatum. I mean, make no mistake, right now, Tatum is just a hair better than Curry, but Curry, I believe, in each year is going to be just a little bit worse, Father Time catching up, and Tatum has many more years. So I think Tatum right now is the better player. But yes, the answer is I believe he would have the same number of championships were he to have the same supporting cast.
I thought it was just me. He's 6'8". He's a better defender. He's a better rebounder than Curry. I like Curry, but you got to call it like you see it, man. I mean, Curry's a slightly better ball handler. I want to take nothing away from his 3-point shot, but it's a good era. It's a good system for Curry, and it feels like everything kind of came together. And he's slightly overrated. Some people are putting him above like Bird and stuff. And even LeBron.
He's not better than he's not. No, because look, first of all, although Curry does come up with rebounds more than what you would think as a guard, I mean, he's not a better rebounder than Bird.
Right. I was talking about Tatum is a better rebounder. Yeah, he's 6'8", is a better defender too than Curry.
Oh yeah, he is 100%. No, Curry is he's scrappy, but he's not. He's just average on defense. That's one of the things that hurt them against the Lakers, by the way. Like he couldn't guard anybody on the floor. I mean, anyone the guards were going around him at times. I don't know what they were thinking Kerr was thinking, but at times they had him on LeBron. What the hell do you think? Look, the man is average. The man is average on defense anyway.
And you're being polite. They used to run. I read that they used to run plays at Curry because he was really bad defender.
I could see that. I could see that. I could see that. Earlier comment, about Embiid, being, MVPs put the team on your back. Yeah, of course. But again, I feel like they're one player. Short.
Patrick said that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, look when Olajuwon won the championship, they had him and Drexler, but then they had Robert Horry, they had Sam Cassell,
Maxwell,
Kenny Smith. Yeah, they had Vernon Maxwell before he went nuts, but they had him for the first run. But even Kenny Smith would come in here and there with a timely 3-pointer. Mario Elie. Where are those counterparts on the Sixers? You have Embiid. You have Harden, who has played out of his mind in a couple of games. Gave him much more, had a better postseason than last year, but clearly on fumes. He's not the Harden, But they need one more. They need one more person.
And Tobias Harris is not getting it done. He's.
Hey,
really
do you think that they wish that they still had? To sum it up by the Butler, Tobias Harris over me. I tell you, do they wish that they had Butler for that? I think if they had Butler,
Oh man, yes, I saw
series.
that. I saw
Then
that
they win
tweet.
that
Yeah.
series. Then they win that series, I believe.
Absolutely. They absolutely win that series. Yeah. So now the Heat, I just feel like the Knicks, they got everything they could out of their talent. They're probably missing a player, maybe two. What's your thoughts on the Heat? I thought the Knicks may do it because I thought the Heat were banged up. Heat and Knicks, what are your thoughts?
The Knicks underperformed. I felt like they were going to win this series. I thought going in they were the better team, but a funny thing happened on the way to the basket, right?
They're building a house with all those bricks there, Jeffrey.
Yeah, exactly. I really, I mean, Steve, I don't believe in Julius Randle so much anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like, between him and Barrett, I mean, that's another team that they need one more player. I mean, that was really now the name is the guard
Brunson.
Right. Yeah, Brunson was the only man who really showed up on the road in Game 6. I feel like they got to try to get rid of Julius. I'm not ready to pull the plug on RJ Barrett. I mean, he had the horrible 1 for 10, but he's still too young. But for me to give up. But Julius Randle, they got to get something. I think that I don't believe in Julius, anymore.
Yeah.
That was terrible. That's another one that's always getting hurt.
Yeah, he presses a lot in the play. He's just not the same player as he is in the regular season. I don't know what it is. Is maybe do you think Randall's just pressing too much?
Yeah, I do feel like he's pressing too much. Yeah. And there's some people that, their bodies are just they're brittle, man. Once they get that first injury, they never quite can come back the same. Grant Hill comes to mind, although he got some mileage, but he was never the same player. Here's an interesting hypothetical trade.
Yeah.
What about Julius Randle to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Jordan Poole? And, maybe even Kuminga. Because, I mean, Kuminga's not – the problem with Kuminga is that he needs some years to develop, but the Warriors need to win now. So he really doesn't fit with them. So I would get rid of him. I mean, he wants to go somewhere anyway and play, get some playing time. Maybe they get Randall and something else.
Yeah, and it's a good point. Steve Kerr said that we're not going to win a championship without Draymond. He said that today before you got on the program. So that is a good point. Maybe they want to keep Draymond even at 34 years old, and Clay even at 33, going to be 34. It sounds like they want to keep that core together and trade out some of the younger pieces, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I agree with him. I agree with him. They need Draymond. I like the idea of keeping the core together, but they have to have a bench, man. They have to. And
because of their age, they're have to lean more on their bench. Yes.
Yeah, they have to lean more on their bench, and trying to basically have two different teams at the same time. The extremely young dudes, and then the other guys that are championship ready who have like a limited. That isn't going to work, man. They need to get veteran players that can that can contribute something. It's so obvious, I mean, Draymond and even Looney, I mean, just completely overmatched from a size point of view. I mean, Anthony Davis basically did whatever the hell he wanted to do.
So what about this for the Knicks? Trae Young, now, if you can get – now, Trae Young's rumored to be possibly traded, the Atlanta guard there. If you can get him to buy into playing shooting guard, because Brunson's your point. He is a true point. Could you see a Trae Young there? They've got 10 first-round picks in the next 7 years. They got a lot of draft, and they've got cap space, the Knicks there. What about a Trae Young there? They need the offense, man.
They need the offense. My only concern is, I mean, are they gonna be a liability on defense? I mean, is he gonna be able to? He's a little bit short. Is what my problem is. Who
Fields might not like his defensive efficiencies.
Yeah, right. Would that be a repeat? Much lesser scale, but would that be a miniaturized version of the Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic
Wow.
problem of not being able to defend? Would that be like another? Would that be another version of that? That's the only concern that I have with him. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want. I mean, I'd rather have Brunson than Trae Young.
Much more of a tour player, more together, more consistent. Yeah. Okay.
But Golden State needs to get bigger. They need to get bigger up front.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good transition there. Now, the Lakers, we just talked about that, a much older team. So you're saying you think that they probably can get one more year out of this big three going back to that Golden State?
Yeah, I do. I think they can get one more year. And if they add the right bench players where, those guys can get a little bit better each year as your productivity from them decrease, they might be able to get 2 good years out of that.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Curry's for 35 now, man.
Right, but if they have a couple of people that can give them like 10 and 10 off the bench, then maybe somewhere amongst the 4 to 5 players, that are rotational, if you get 2 people that could give you 10 or even a couple that can give you 5 and one guy that could give you 8, just on an average where you're close.
Right.
But that's all depending on getting bigger,
right?
What's that?
So they're not starting off on this as a 6 or
right.
7.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was they really were in the deep end right there. I mean, but listen, the Lakers, just that swarming defense. I mean, it wasn't just having Anthony Davis as the shot blocker / shot alterer down there in the field.
How about Vanderbilt? They had
swarming. They were swarming. Yeah. Anyone that went in was swarmed, and yet somehow, the rotations were otherworldly. I mean, you really didn't have a lot of open shots.
Yeah.
And then the few that did, I mean, Clay, I mean, Jesus Christ, Clay.
Man.
Clay.
Yeah, Clay showed his age in a couple of those games.
Jordan, yeah, right. I mean, he had one or 2 good games, but on the balance was terrible. Jordan Poole just completely disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, even Curry, at times had the, looked like Father Time was catching up. But then on the other hand, too, Rob, remember, I mean, they lost the one game there where of game 1, Poole launched that 30-foot shot, and then it was the other game that they lost where Curry tried to win the game himself. The last 2 shots, he took a pair of bad shots. So, I mean, they lost
game
4 games.
4, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
In
Game 4. Right. But my point is just, if they picked up just one of those games, just one of them, then they're going to game 7 in Golden State, in San Fran at Golden State. Maybe they still win that series, and that I'm using that as support. That maybe if they got the right role players or got somebody, even if they get someone big up front, which they need, they have to get a role player. They have to get some role players that can come in. You can't just start giving leads up every time Steph Curry goes to the bench. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy, and and you really, I'm not a Moses Moody guy. I don't like his game. I don't believe in him. Poole is too inconsistent. Now. Yeah.
And then he had the incident with Draymond Green. He's got some maturity issues too. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder what is it that happened that maybe it had to do with his maturity issues. That's why Draymond cocked him there. I mean,
he did.
I agree with doing it, but I can understand I can understand where he was coming from on that. And really, I don't. In some ways, I feel like that stayed with the Warriors the whole time.
It really did, because they were terrible on the road in the regular season.
Yeah,
they were losing to bad teams on the road. So, okay, we've got that one. Let's go to Phoenix now. Obviously, you just mentioned Monty Williams was fired. What's your thoughts on Phoenix and Denver? Was it just injuries, or do you think Monty Williams should have been fired?
No, that was unfair. That was injuries. I mean, come on. Chris Paul got hurt. When that happened, I said here, look, when that happened, that was it. you know,
Yeah.
and then you know, in the elimination game, you know, you're gonna fault him for losing an elimination game against the number one team in the West by record, the seeding, when you not only don't have your point guard, but then Ayton goes down also, and he can't play.
Yeah.
Come on, nobody was going to win. So you want Durant and Booker to win without the other two guys? I mean,
50 points apiece, huh?
So I excuse him for that. And look, they were in the finals. They were in the finals. So yeah, you know who else might be interesting? I mean, maybe again, I mean, they would have to replace him somehow, get another big man. But what about Jordan Poole? What about Jordan Poole? And
they're trying to pawn him off on somebody.
Yeah. Well, right. But remember, with Chris Paul always getting hurt, Jordan Poole makes a lot of sense. And
that was my fear when we were talking about Paul. I love Chris Paul, but he's 37. He's hurt last year. He's got hurt this year, hurt in the regular season. That's just the thing with him. Now, only reason I can think of now, obviously the Suns got a new owner there. Monty Williams last year, totally humiliated in Game 7 in their own arena by the Dallas Mavericks. This year, to close out, they was down 30 points at one point at halftime. They didn't do well there. So Monty Williams will probably still get another chance. Not calling him Doc Rivers, because look how bad they were before Monty Williams, Jeffrey.
Yeah, he turned that team around. He really turned that team around. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. And couldn't you see DeAndre Ayton thriving with the Warriors?
Possibly. Now, Wiseman didn't work out there. I don't know. You really have to be a good passer.
Huh? Wiseman was always hurt, number one. And more importantly, Wiseman was always green. You know, he was always a rookie and
really young guy.
He never was really ready to play. I mean, even when he wasn't a rookie, literally, I mean, by playing experience, he really was. You know, it's hard for a developing player who's just breaking in to play meaningful minutes and contribute on a championship level team.
Here's one for you. Since we're talking about that, would you perhaps look at a Dylan Brooks over a Draymond Green because he's 27 and a really good defender, somewhat of a good passer? He's got a lot of text like Draymond, only one extra one.
Yeah.
I thought about maybe Brooks to the Knicks too, by the way, but I think it'd be a good fit.
I could see that, yeah, but he has to go some. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, he definitely wore out his welcome in Memphis.
He sure did.
You know, I feel like the whole LeBron thing. I mean, you know, when LeBron lit him up and he didn't give anything, and you know, and LeBron, you know, that angle when LeBron was complaining, you know, arguing with his, you know, with Memphis and somebody. You know, listen, man, he ain't hooping. He's just talking shit. He's not hooping. That kind of stunk him when he didn't back up any of his words with any kind of performance, and LeBron lit him up. So I you know, but yeah, I think that he could. I think that he could fit in. You know, I still see him as a bench player, but maybe as a 7th or 8th guy, perhaps. Okay. But you know, he has to just go someplace and fit in and just do the dirty things, you know, dive for loose balls, rebound, defend, you know, make shots when you can, but that's not your, but don't be pompous, you know, don't be all verbal, but I don't know if he has that in them. I mean, that's kind of who he is, Rob. So I don't know if
that's a good point. He's a poor man's Draymond Green, right?
Yeah, he is a poor man. he is a poor man's Draymond Green. Yeah, I would.
Let's see. Okay, since we're talking about Memphis, what's your thoughts on the Ja Morant flashing the gun again? He's suspended. Do you think maybe Memphis should trade him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I do think that Memphis should trade him. I think they need to get him the hell out of there, away from the people. I mean, what is he going to move all the bad influences? Is he going to pay to move them and get them new housing some other place? Maybe not so easily done, but you know, like this guy is going to one of the top 5 to 10 talents in the NBA, and
I think that's reasonable.
he's so close, Rob, to
Yeah.
to losing his whole NBA career due to off the court things. I mean, how many more gun incidents are they going to put up with? I mean, honestly, I mean, he might be gone if he has another gun incident. I don't, he doesn't seem willing to get rid of all those people, the bad influences that were around him. I don't know that he's willing to get rid of them. And but all that money, like 39 million, was it 39 million he lost? Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Rob, even for me, Rob, I think I'll never see $39 million. Even for me, I think I'll never see $39 million in my life, man. Certainly, I wish you would, but it's not, the odds aren't good on that. But
something,
just throwing it away.
Yes, his parents are not handling this success as well. It's like they're lottery winners, Jeffrey. His mother called him. This was an incident last year. The Washington Post reported that his mother called him to settle a dispute with a Finish Line employee at the mall. He brings 9 people up there. What is she thinking, Jeffrey? His dads get thrown out of the Laker game, arguing with Shannon Sharp there. There's multiple gun incidents, a guy suing him, and you're just thinking, okay, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. What he was doing there, he might not think a lot about that. I'm a Second Amendment guy. I'm okay with that. But him playing with that gun, a lot of little kids see that. That's a gun safety issue, if you ask me.
No, it really is. And and like you said, the maturity of him, his parents, it is a gun safety issue. And look, I'm not so sure the Second Amendment comes in all that much because as far as I know, I mean, are those legal guns? Are they legal? Are they illegal?
And nobody knows.
Right.
He won't own it.
Certainly it's not safe. I took a gun safety class once. I don't remember them ever telling me a safe way on how to handle a pistol while it's loaded in the car in my hands. As I don't feel like that's all that safe. But see, I feel like he's never transitioned.
No.
I feel like he never really transitioned. He hasn't left the hood behind. But he needs to decide quick, man. Do you want to be down and of the hood and still running the streets, or do you want to be, an upstanding role model, an NBA athlete, wealthy beyond your wildest dreams, a role model, able to build generational wealth, because you can't do both, brother. You can't do both.
Do you remember? I brought this up yesterday. Do you remember Chris Carter saying the best thing that ever happened to him was getting released from the Eagles? It helped him deal with his alcohol and drug problems. Something like getting traded made think, okay, this is not a game anymore, and a suspension plus being traded. Now, my friends here in Tennessee don't want to hear. I said, well, I'm just thinking it may be the best for him because it's not getting his attention, the 8-game suspension.
Yeah, I think that's light. I agree with you completely. I think the suspension is light. And look, I wouldn't want to bet the future of my franchise on him. I mean, that's really what it is. But if they really want to help him, not only would they trade him, but they would give a lot of thought to where they actually trade him. He needs to go someplace with there's already strong leadership, someone that that's not going to be intimidated by his being a star, someone that he can respect.
Yeah, San Antonio, Miami.
Yeah, but who's there?
Well,
though?
Butler may kill him. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Butler's a serious guy, man.
Yeah, Butler is. And Butler's come from a very challenging. Very
upbringing,
background. Yeah. I mean, he could be really good over there. I mean, and they got a lot of players. They got a lot of players that they could unload as well. I mean, I still think that Tyler Hero can play good in the league.
Yes,
I haven't given up on Duncan Robinson. Max Strutz is he still give you 10 or 12. Last year in their playoff run, he was playing out of his mind. He was giving you 15 to 20. So they have a lot of stuff that they could give up that they don't actually need, but that has some value.
And Memphis drafts well. They draft really well. They went on a run without him, Jeffrey. I think it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of fear in the NBA. It's like if we get rid of the star, the world's going to come to an end, and it never does. Teams move on. If you got good management, you'll be okay. You know, Tatum wasn't a number one pick, Jeffrey.
No,
Steph
he was
Curry
not.
wasn't number one.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
So who do you like in that Miami and Boston series? Miami's tough, man.
Miami's tough. It's not going to be easy, but I feel like Tatum is playing even better this year than he was last year. They still got the sting of losing in the finals from last year. So I like the Celtics in this. I like the Celtics in this one. The Celtics in 6 or 7.
Oh, see, that's what I said, 6. I don't trust this young coach either, Jeffrey. If he had a real good coach there, I'd say Celtics in 5.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, you and I have the same thoughts on that. And by the way, looking ahead on the Celtics, I believe Jaylen Brown, free agent, and look, you can't have $200 million and change a piece locked up in 2 players. So Tatum and Brown. Where's your money at for the rest? I definitely, Tatum's a player. I would get rid of Brown. I'd let Brown go and just try to sign. Maybe do like a sign and trade.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting take. I thought maybe they'd try to make it work with them too.
Yeah, they might, but I'm saying but I'm saying it's a lot of money. I think it would make
it is a lot of money. Whole lot.
$200 million plus per player, and maybe do a sign and trade with him, or line up, who you're going to sign. And, so you could bring talent in. You could have, for the money for Jaylen Brown, you could have 2 or 3 players now. Yeah. You could have 2 or 3, but you could add a star and a couple of solid roles, mid-level role players.
Because he made All-NBA. He's eligible for that super max. Brad Stevens is going to have a tough decision here in the next short period of time. Now, I think he's still under contract this year, though, isn't he?
I'm not clear on when. I think he is. Yeah, I think that's 1 more year they have.
Okay.
I think it's 1 more year. Yeah.
So it's a lot to think about. Hopefully they'll get a championship out of it. Now, Denver and LA, a lot of people split. I like Denver to win in 6. What are your thoughts about the Lakers? This one's not easy, man.
This is not easy. This is not easy. I do think, looking back on the Golden State series, reflecting on that, it turned out they actually were the better team. I didn't think so going in, but it was clear in hindsight. So going against Denver, I mean, the marquee matchup, the fun matchup, of course, Anthony Davis versus the Joker.
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah, that's going to be
hour and a half. It's coming up.
But, I kind of like, I kind of like the Lakers. I mean, because they got the. If the Joker's the best player on the team on the court, well, the next two best players are Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And who do the Nuggets really, counter with that's on the level of, either of them? I think that that D'Angelo Russell, getting rid of Russell Westbrook for D'Angelo Russell, was that like a really was that like a game changer. He fits much better in. He's playing great. Yeah, he's playing great, and they got their
Austin
role
Reeves,
players.
Hillbilly Kobe playing.
Yeah, Hillbilly Kobe, and then another dude, the dude that came off the bench for all those baskets in the fourth quarter for the Lakers. The guy that wasn't getting that much playing time.
Lonnie Walker or something like that.
Walker the fourth. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough, but I mean, I kind of like the Lakers in that one.
Pickles thinks it's good. He says the NBA wants Lakers Celtics like an old throwback.
Yeah, I still remember the 30 for 30 series, aptly named, which I got a kick out of.
I love that.
Yeah, you remember the best of enemies.
Yeah,
they were the best. Yeah, of enemies.
Remember the Celtics. You're better with names than I am. They had this one guy on the bench always talking a lot of trash for the Celtics. He never got any playing time, but he loved to chirp, 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 chirp. I can't remember his name, but you probably would.
Yeah, that was on the Bird Celtic teams. Right?
Yeah.
The Birds, yeah.
Yeah, he's waving the flag and all that, and he didn't do nothing, man.
Yeah, no, I know you're talking.
I can't remember the guy's name, but I watched it 2 or 3 times. That
you're talking about Walton?
I think no, not Bill Walton. Black guy, younger guy.
Sam
He's always
Jones.
waving the towel. Bill Walton was great though in '86. I think they only lost.
Yeah, but
one
by
home
the time
game,
he got to, but by the time he got to the Celtics, I mean, he was already beset with the knee problems there.
Yeah. But he did okay that 1 year in '86. So
yeah, he did.
Yeah, they were dominating. I just think Denver. I think it's going to catch up with the Lakers. Think about the Lakers were 2-10 at one time, like you said. Westbrook was so toxic. Great turnaround. They had to play their way into that play-in game. Then they had to play the play-in game, overtime game against Minnesota. Then they go on the road 6 games to Memphis. Then go on the road again, like you said, 6 games to Golden State. Now they got to go on the road. They will be the first time ever a 7th seed led by a guy who's often injured, Anthony Davis, and a 38-year-old LeBron. I just don't think it's going to happen. Hey, I've been wrong before. And you're right. Their role players will. Somebody's from those role players are going to have to carry them on the road. You know, if they win tonight, they'll probably win the series. I'll say that. But I still think Denver's going to win it, though. They're 5.5-point favorites for a reason. Denver is.
Yeah, well, I would like the Lakers. Yeah, for sure. They are favorites for a reason. But I like the Lakers in 6. I think it would be too much for them to win in Game 7, even with LeBron and Anthony. I mean, the role players, don't usually bring their game on the road. They're the ones who
right. Statistically, they don't play as well, shoot the ball well on the road as they do at home. Remember Aaron Gordon? I was hearing that he's going to be on LeBron. He's been a good pickup for them. Michael Porter Jr. Obviously, Jamal Murray's the big. Who's going to guard Jamal? Is it going to be Vanderbilt? He's very quick off the ball. So they've got some role players too. And Denver, they're just not household names. They don't get the
that's
play
exactly
the
right.
Lakers.
That's exactly right. They got some role players too. They just don't get the names. But I like 2 superstars. At the end of the day, though, I like 2 superstars against 1.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I like Jamal Murray. I think he's an underrated player. He's probably not as big, but LeBron's 38. And I've seen him look tired a couple times too. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It could go either way. That's why it's going to make it fun to watch. I can't wait to see it.
No, me neither. One other possibility, and I get ready to go. What else is a possibility? It could be a bubble final rematch. It's not out of the question either. It could be
Miami and
Butler's
Lakers,
revenge. It could be Butler's revenge against LeBron and Anthony Davis. I mean, that is the Heat. I don't predict them to win, but they're live dogs. I mean, they could win that series, and it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, they're like Freddy Krueger, man. They keep coming back. Appreciate you coming on. Hey, do you got anything else you need to plug, man?
I'll just plug this, man. Just that.
There's your organization.
Wrongful. Yeah, I mean, look, if you please, wrongful conviction can happen to anybody. Myself, my team, we're hard at work trying to free the innocents. You can check out our work on www.Deskovic.Foundation.org. We definitely need to bring some more, donors in. If you're an athlete, we don't have any celebrity spokespeople. We would love to do that. And that could really help us get to the next level, increase our profile, and get more media, attract more donors. And look, this is all about freeing innocent people. I'm home. I doubt very seriously I'll ever go back in, wrongfully. But so it's not about me, but it is about the people that I metaphorically left behind.
Amen. Hey, good stuff, man. Hey, if something crazy happens, like especially if the Knicks sign somebody big, definitely like to have you back on and see what happens.
I would love to come back. I'd love to come back. Yeah, well, look, I'd like to come back on for the finals for sure.
Yeah.
But if something unexpected happens before then, definitely like to put in an earlier. I want to come off the bench and get in the game, Rob. As something happens, situational mode here. You gotta bring me back, put me in the game, okay, Coach?
Yeah. Hey, what we got free agency too, Jeffrey? It could be some
Oh, we
big
got to talk
trades.
free agency too. That's going to be it's going to be amazing. And like one player just anywhere this year, particularly the way that this year went down, just one player leaving, one player coming.
Yeah,
could throw the whole season into different, all kind of unknown possibilities there. You know, going all right.
Hey man,
Thanks,
have a good night, and I will see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob.
See ya. Thank you, everybody. All right. Now, guys, I'll be back on tomorrow. Now, Keith Anglepickles will be on. He's coming from out of town. He should be on 30 minutes past the hour. If not, I've got plenty of stuff to talk about. Trust me. A lot of NFL stuff I wanted to get into. I didn't even get into this Joe Burrow story. I've got some notes for that. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Please, if you like the show, please share the show, Patrick. Patrick, if you want to come on the show, if you want to come on sometime, just contact me, my friend. And I love you guys. Join me Sunday morning on my podcast. Patrick, if you want to come on the program, you're definitely welcome. And maybe we'll come on your show one day as well. You know how to contact me through SportsScope, Facebook, or whatnot, or between the YouTube, sportscope@gmail.com. So have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, here on SportsScope.